What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 98 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you want to help us reach more people in more countries, subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends, or click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation of any amount could change a life. When we come back, we'll get into this episode entitled Addiction to Ambition, Fame, and Fortune, an interview with Clint. Welcome back to episode 98 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast entitled Addiction to Ambition, Fame, and Fortune, an interview with Clint. Well, I'm excited today to have my dear friend Clint from Tower of Life, a guy who spoiled me like crazy when I was staying there with the guys a few months ago. And so I'm happy to have you here on the podcast with me, Clint. And I'd like to just start this interview by reading the lyrics of a song by Willie Nelson called Heartaches of a Fool. And it says, started out with the dreams and the plans of a wise man and ended up with the heartaches of a fool. As a boy, I would walk through the valley, gazed at the world all around, made a vow that someday I would find fame and fortune. I found it, but look at me now. I had a sweetheart who would love me forever. Didn't need her, I would reign all alone. And look at me, I'm the king of a cold, lonely castle. The queen of my heart is gone. So get around me, you fools, for $1. Listen to me, a lesson you'll learn. Well, there's happiness and love sent from heaven above, and the fires of ambition will burn. Started out with the dreams and the plans of a wise man, and ended up with the heartaches of a fool. Sure, deep words there, Clint. What jumps out at you, or how do you identify with that song?
Very nice to be with you, David. I've listened to that song numerous times, and every time I listen to the lyrics, it's the fame and fortune thing jumps out at me. Working pretty much very hard in my life for fame and fortune, and then ending up losing everything. So that's pretty much the fame and fortune part is more what stands out for me at in the whole song.
Yeah, and as my life's work is focusing on addiction, and I'm wondering if you would see your ambition, your drive for fame and fortune as something that could have been an addiction in you.
Yeah, David, I realize every day more and more that it is more like addiction to me. Because I strived for success, and I really worked hard in my life for success, and my addiction got so bad that I was neglecting my family. So it's a difficult thing to think through right now. After listening to the song, it's really making sense that it is addiction, and it's a difficult addiction, and to lose everything is also quite bad. So it really touches my heart, the song, and it really opens up my eyes to that I actually have addiction, and addiction was work, and not focusing on things that were really important.
Yeah, and we can't go back and sort of undo what we've done in our past, but it's awesome to me that you can recognize this because it really equips you for when you leave Tower of Life and sort of start back in industry again, start back in business again, that you can go out wiser. I guess what would be key for me is what are some of the things that you think you can do differently as you get back into business again?
Well, David, as you were aware when you were here in South Africa when I spoke to you, I've got 2 kids over in the UK. I lost my wife to cancer in a couple of years, 2 years ago. So it's taken a knock on me, and we're still struggling to get past that. But I think as I go out into the world again and start working, my main focus is to try and get my family back together, and prioritize, because that back then I didn't really prioritize at all. Well, I did, but I mean, in a way of I prioritize the work comes first and the family last, which is a big mistake to make because I mean, your family needs you. So during this whole time, these past couple of years, I've lost my wife, lost my job. My kids are in the UK, so it's a difficult thing to go through. So if I could backtrack, I would put my family first. But I think my main aim now is as soon as I do start working again, I want to get my family back together and start afresh and, you know, prioritize my life, putting my family in front and my work behind. Not saying that I'm going to lack in my work, but I mean, my family is very important and I miss them terribly. So this is why I'm um, really motivated to get out there, get a job, get working so I can reunite with my family again.
Yeah, and I think that's powerful. You had mentioned the priorities in there, and I think all of us who have grown up with ambition or grown up with um, just that sort of push to succeed in life find ourselves. I know I did personally. You find ourselves justifying working harder and working longer hours by saying, but I'm providing for my family. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So this is the sacrifice I have to make. And I guess
Yes.
is that something that you could relate to? Where do you think your drive for success and financial, sort of fame and fortune came from?
Um, Look, from a very young age, David, we were raised in a home that we become independent at an early age, and I've always been independent, and I love being independent. I don't like being taking stuff from other people. I like to work for what I want. And when I had my family and I got my two beautiful kids and my wife, I met my wife in hotel school where I was studying to be a chef, and I promised her that I will always look after her and I will make her the happiest in the world, which I did. But I took that too far where I actually worked much harder to keep them happy, but not thinking the consequences that I'm living at home. Kids not seeing their dad, and we worked in the same establishment as well. So it was just the relationship was falling apart then already because we worked in the same establishment and we worked together, lived together. So our relationship was on the rocky side. But I carried on working, because that is how I relieve my stress. I cannot do anything. I need to be busy, So to release my stress with the bipolar and stuff that I have as well, I needed to work to get rid of that stress, but also trying to take care of my family, which actually I was pushing my family away from the thing, actually pulling them in because I was neglecting them, and that's a sad thing for me to realize today that I actually do miss my wife. She's a beautiful woman, and I do miss my kids. I just wish I could change all of that, but now I believe I can. I mean, I've still got my beautiful kids, so I'm very excited to get into a job, and that is my drive now, is to just get work so I can get my family back together. Is my biggest aim in my life right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I really want to applaud you for the depth of the understanding that you just expressed. And I'm sure a lot of our listeners can identify that. We've heard of the term workaholic, but you've
Yes.
really put sort of meat around it by explaining, just that drive to succeed and drive to work harder as a stress reliever. Because in reality, you were working in what could be a high stress industry, but
Yes.
working harder became your stress reliever for maybe the stress that the job itself was creating.
Oh, yes. And it is a very stressful job, I mean, I worked really hard in my life, David, and I'm proud of myself, what I've accomplished in my life, but I'm more upset because of what I lost, because of that hard drive I had to work, So I'm not blaming myself, understand what I'm saying, but I realized my mistake, and it's never too late to fix a mistake. Although I've lost one part of my family, doesn't mean I still have two kids left in my life, you know. So my drive is, this is it. I need to get my kids back in my life. I need them back here with me in South Africa, and I that's clearly what I'm focusing on now, and I'm enjoying what I'm doing at Tower as well. But at the moment, I need my own peace, my inner peace, and I need my family. You know, it's very, very important. I know I've said it a few times, but my family is really, really important.
Yeah, I hear that loud and clear. And I guess have you thought, with your two children living in the UK right now, you haven't seen them for a while.
Yes.
How do you picture, that sort of reuniting, and will they know the new dad, so to speak, who's going to be, really focused on being dad, equal to and maybe even more greatly than being a successful businessman?
Um, David, my kids, I think our reuniting situation is going to be amazing. Because I mean, I've lost doing work, and you know, with my sicknesses and all those things, you know, I've lost a lot of weight. So I'm going to look like a new person to my kids. I do Skype them every now and then. But it's never the same as actually seeing them in person, you know. So I think once my kids see me, they're going to be very happy. And my main, like I said, my focus is I'm going to work, but I'm not going to work, you know, so that I can neglect my kids. You know, I really want to have a proper father and children relationship, which every kid deserves. Every kid deserves a parent, and I think that's my main drive. And I think I'll balance my work with my relationship with my kids, you know, but my kids will come first this time, because to be without them for 2 years now since Corona with the travel restrictions has been very difficult. So I'm quite excited just to get back on my feet and show the world that I am actually also able to be a father. Um, because I was judged saying I'm not a father because all I worry about is work, but I'm saying I'm working to look after them, not thinking that I'm neglecting them, you know. So I've been through quite a bit, David, as you know, but I've said to you when you were here. So I've got my head screwed on properly now, and I'm ready to take on the world and ready to get my life sorted out and get my family back together. I'm just excited. I'm really, really excited for things to come.
Excellent. Yeah, I can hear the excitement. I think in
Yes,
closing, there's a line that I heard on one of the Law and Order episodes a while ago,
yes,
and I think it fit you, and I haven't shared this with you yet.
yep,
I think it fits you. It said, "I think you're hiding what you don't yet know that you are hiding."
yes,
And I know we had several conversations when I was there and since then, about, well, you're going to be going through the From Ashes to Destiny curriculum, but you really don't have an addiction issue.
yes,
And so it really, in my mind, fits this. You were sort of hiding what you didn't know you were hiding, and that was the addiction to sort of ambition, fame, and fortune.
yes.
So is there anything you could say in closing, just to encourage others who might be in that same thing of saying, it's not even denial. I'm not denying anything. It's just I don't even know what I'm hiding.
Yeah. Well, David, you know, um, the one thing I could say is, you know, it's a lot of people will find it difficult thing to go through, you know, and it's difficult to realize it actually, you know. But the telltale signs are when you see you neglecting those around you, then you should know that it is a problem, you know, because it took me a very long time until now, basically, to realize, well, until I lost my family, to realize that I have an addiction. Because it's not drugs, it's not alcohol, it's work, you know, and it's that work to get somewhere in life and, you know, the fame and fortune, as you say. So I just think people need to like really sit back and think, especially the people in the industry of working in any industry, that just need to sit back and think about for themselves, am I neglecting my family or those around me? Um, because if you feel that you are, then there's a problem, you know. So you need to work on it. People really need to work on it. I just think it's a difficult thing, and it took me a long time to realize this, and it took me a lot of things I've lost. But I'm sure I'll get there again, and everybody else in the same situation can get back to where they were as well. If you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much, Clint. It's been great talking to you today, and look forward to when I see you in person again.
Thank you very much, David.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you would like to join an online group or get one-on-one counseling, please message me on the link in this podcast or by email at davidfromatod@gmail.com, or go to my website, www.fromatod.org, and click on the contact page. You can keep in touch with what we're doing in From A to D by following me on Instagram at davidfromatod. Tune in Monday for our next episode, and as always, stay safe and stay strong.